Hello and welcome back to the Stacey US YouTube channel and to another preview. My first one of the season. You had the joys of Ben last week, and now it's my turn. And I am joined by Craig from Red All Over, a Barnsley podcast show, YouTube that seems to do a little bit of everything. Craig, how are we doing, mate?
I'm doing fine. A little bit kicked in nads from last week, but it's just what the start of the season is all part of. So yeah, looking forward to tomorrow.
Oh, good. No, absolutely. I can imagine that game wasn't exactly the most joyful, especially when it's the Friday night first one of League One. But I guess that's kind of where we need to start on, because whenever I do these previews, I always ask, how's the season going? It's a little bit pointless asking that after just one league match and one cup game. But what was it like last week? Was it surprisingly poor? Was it just unsurprisingly difficult against a newly promoted side? What kind of was the outcome of the game compared to what you expected going into it?
I expected a draw, to be completely honest. A lot of people will think that a side coming up from League Two should be cannon fodder for a team like us who was going for promotion yet again this season. But I knew that they'd come with the same manager, near enough the same squad with a few additions. So they were going to come up with that confidence, just like Wrexham will, and just like Stockport will too. So they're going to be difficult teams to come up against because they don't need that bedding in period of like teams like yourself that's had a big overhaul. So I was expecting a draw. The first 20 minutes, or 25 minutes in fact, we were run over completely and utterly, just pressed and pressed and pressed. And we offered nothing. Now, I listened to the previous podcast you guys did, and I think one of your guys said that we were uninspiring and things similar to that level. And I would agree for the first 25 minutes, but after that, Clark made a change. He pulled our left wing back off and put a midfielder on, which then gave us more numbers in midfield to match them up. And after that, we completely dominated. And I think if we'd have had strikers that could finish, we'd have probably won. We ended up finishing with a higher XG. The play was so much better. We had them pegged back for numerous amounts of time. They didn't really get forward much after that. They had the odd set piece where they get into our area and such, but there were lots of positives to take from it. Now, last season under Neil Collins, we tended to go into a game and not be able to change. He'd never change formation. He'd change the same players at the same minute of every game, which was a joke. It was a running joke by end of season. We exactly knew who were coming off and when they were coming off. It didn't matter how bad they were playing or how good. It was just a thing that was happening. But yeah, there's positives from last season that we're taking into this season. Obviously, we've lost a few good players. Devante Cole was brilliant beginning of last season. He's gone. We've got George again, who's come in because we lost Cadden. Cadden wanted to move back to Scotland because of family issues. He just had a child, so he wanted to move back up with his family. So that was fair enough. We understood that. We lost Herbie Kane, so we got in Conor Horahan, former player of ours. We've got Big Donny Pines back now from injury for the game tomorrow. I don't know if he'll play much, but he got 60 minutes against Wigan, so that's a good thing. He scored as well. Yeah, it's looking good. It's just that forward area we need to assess because it's not good enough at the minute.
So, I mean, you've kind of just mentioned there some of the squad changes. Obviously, I think like the most notable ins, if you like, from a League One point of view that League One fans will very much be aware of is obviously Conor Horahan and Mark Roberts as well, who's come in from Birmingham. Both of those on free transfers, weren't they? And obviously, you've also lost quite a few players that when you thought Barnsley, for example, last season, these are some of the first names that kind of jump out at, for example, like Herbie Kane, Jordan Williams, Nicky Cadd, and Devante Cole, for example. Where do you, putting the striker situation aside for a second, because obviously I'm aware that you'd love another striker or two, and you mentioned it there, you need a striker that can finish. Putting that aside, where do you rank the transfer window so far? The players that you've let go, have they been replaced in any sort of a positive way, or do you see this as a bit of a sideways or even backwards step this summer?
Good question. At the minute, I'd probably have it a 4/5 because we have lost good players, but we have had good players coming. Kyron Lofthouse is a guy we had out on loan last year. He's coming. He's really bright on that right, and he normally plays right wing back for us, which obviously covers Jordan Williams. Matt Roberts coming in, Conor Oran coming in, George Kent coming in. These have all been positives, and I think probably our best signing so far, by far, is Gaga Slanina, coming in from Chelsea on loan. Yeah. He looked fantastic against Wigan. I mean, we saved 2 penalties in penalty shootout. Nothing but positive. Listening to his interview, he's talking positively. He didn't just turn around and said, "Oh, I had a great match, yeah, brilliant." He was like, "No, I wasn't happy with what I did on my feet. I've got to improve. I've got to get better," and really positive. Also, Donny Pines coming back. I think we signed him in January last year. He had a couple of games. It took a while to get fit, and then he had a few games, got injured, and that was it for the rest of the season. But he's a real threat at set pieces. You know, he's a big unit of a guy. He reminds me of Santos from Bolton. So he's got that presence about him. So yeah, we have lost some key players, but I don't think there's anything really that we've not addressed as of yet. Well, apart from striker situation.
Yeah.
Like I said, we lost Cadden, got Gent. We've lost Williams, got Lofthouse. You know, lost Matt Roberts, not Matt Roberts, Roberts in goal, and we've got Slanina in. You know, and we've got a couple of legends back as well, because obviously Connor and Roberts are legends who we didn't want to lose a few years ago. So it's nice to have them back, especially Connor being in a player-coach role. So I don't think we'll see much of him on the pitch as what we expect, but it's nice for somebody like Luca Connell to have that senior player to look to. You know, he's our captain this season, Luca Connell. So to have 2 former captains to be around can do nothing but help. So yeah, I would say 4/5. If we can get 2 strikers in, that'll bump that straight up to a 7 or an 8. Because we still need to replace McAtee, who obviously we had on loan last season, and Devante Cole, obviously, who left. We've got Jallo, but he's just got a shoulder injury. Got it on against Derby. So, but he's more of a winger rather than a striker. So, yeah, it's. I think we've only got 3 outright strikers on the squad right now.
So definitely an area where you're going to need to be bolstering the squad then. I think it's probably fair to say that no matter the amount of squad turnover you had this summer, probably the biggest change that you had was in the dugout, with Darrell Clarke obviously coming in after you did sack Neil Collins the week before the end of the season. Make of that one what you will, of course. But let's talk about Darrell Clarke for a minute. I've been probably a little bit harsh on certain prediction videos coming into this season about Darrell Clarke at Barnsley. I think he's a fantastic manager. Obviously did great things at Cheltenham, for example. I just felt that this might have been a step into the unknown for him, coming into a side challenging at the top end of League One, or at least wanting to be challenging towards the top end of League One, as sort of the last couple of seasons have shown. Do you think that's a fair reflection, or am I just being harsh? Has he already shown the capabilities, even within those first couple of competitive matches? And are you happy with the appointment of Darrell Clarke?
Yes, I am. But well, if you look at the history of our appointments, I think you'll know why. Because we
Yeah.
normally go for this left wing, so out of field. I mean, not even a bookie thought the guy were going to be in charge of us. Not like Neil Collins come from America. We've had
Yeah.
Shop and we had Moraes years ago. And yeah, it's
Mm.
nice to have somebody that's been in the league, has managed in the league, and has that
Mm.
experience to fetch in. When Clark was announced, I was skeptical, but I kind of looked into what he'd done in the past, and obviously we know about the promotions. And then you start
Mm.
listening to players and staff that have worked with him, and you hear about his family issues and stuff that he's had in the past.
Mm.
And I feel that he deserves this chance because
Mhm.
I think he's done a good body of work even when he's not been in a promotion team like he were at Cheltenham last year. I think
Mm.
he took over a team that had not scored in the first 16 games, and
Yeah.
he nearly got them out of relegation come the end of the season. So that was a real difficult job that he went into, and he managed to get them
Mm.
scoring. And I think I can remember saying that they were one of the harder teams we come up against. To say
Mm.
we're a team that we expected to walk over, and
Mm.
by no means did we. I think we scored. We won. We won 1-2-0, but we ended up scoring one at 93rd minute. So we were pretty nip and tuck all the way up till final whistle. And then
Mhm.
I think it was Waters ended up scoring at 93rd minute or something at their ground. But yeah, his interviews is honest. We're getting none of the flannel that we used to. Um, we've already seen against Mansfield that if things are not working out, he's willing to change. And it, like I say, dragged George Gentoff after 27, 28 minutes. So
Mm.
us, that is alien to us. We're not used to that.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see, and I've heard nothing but praise from fellow fans, some that aren't even big fans of his, that are saying, "Look, all you can do is applaud that he changed
Mm.
something, and he tried to be positive." Um, but like I say, until we get them strikers in, and until he's been given the tools to do the job, I don't think we can really judge him because at the minute he's been given half a squad. He's got the defense, he's got the midfield. He just
Mm.
doesn't have the attack to work.
No, absolutely. And I think sort of on that point, when the fixtures first came out, there was conversations around a lot of Lincoln fans saying, "Oh, that's a really tough first home league match against Barnsley." My thoughts were actually more the opposite of saying, well, if anything, this is going to be the best time of the season to be playing them because new manager, there is going to be a bit of a bedding period. Obviously, there's been a little bit of squad turnover as well, losing some players who played a good handful of games last season. Obviously, bringing some new lads in, and obviously now we can see that there's still not quite a proper striker situation there that you'd like. You say that's a fair assessment that this is probably the best time to be playing you.
I probably would say that, but I wouldn't say that it's going to be an easy match by any means
Oh no.
because we have like, this season, especially looking at the team,
Mm.
we've never last season we were set pieces were our biggest fault area. We were horrible at defending. This year, we've fetched in a set piece coach, and we look ruthless. We scored against Wigan from a corner. Like I said, we've got Pines back in there as well. We've got big lads now. We've got Josh
Mm.
Earl, Mark
Mhm.
Roberts, Pines. We've got people like Connell and Phillips whipping ball in. We're a
Mhm.
threat. So before we were relying on Devante as the only outlet to score a goal. Now I think we're full of a team that can score from anywhere. We've got
Mhm.
obviously Adam Phillips likes a long shot, Luke Connell too. In that midfield, we've got Matthew Craig, who we forgot to mention, who's coming to the team.
Mm.
He's an absolute dragon in that midfield. He reminds me of Josh Scowen when we had Josh Scowen,
Mm.
where you didn't know whether we were going to get a yellow or a red, but you were guaranteed to get one of them in the match. He's aggressive, but
Yeah.
we played against Derby. He come on with 30 minutes to go and he got 2 assists. So he's got a bit of
Yeah.
flair about him too. So I would say it's the best time to play us But by no means is it going to be an easy match for you guys. And I know it's not for us because I know how good your team is. Even though you have had a turnover, you know, Ethan Erahan in the midfield is an absolute, I mean, he's brilliant in this league. You know, Paudie O'Connor keeps scoring for you guys.
Top goal scorer in the league.
Adam Jackson is a guy that I really like because, and I hated it when he left us. I didn't want him to leave. I thought he was by far our best defender at the time. And a lot of people didn't agree because he wasn't a ball-playing defender, but it was a no-nonsense. I felt the same when Matty Pearson left as well because I like old-school defenders. You know, you get rid of the ball, that's it. I don't care whether you can pass it or not. So, but it's going to be a really interesting game.
No, absolutely. I can't wait. Can't wait to watch it, if I'm honest. And I guess on that then, you've said it's going to be a difficult game for both sides. It's going to be a proper good League One encounter. Stick a scoreline on it. What are you saying?
I think it'll benefit us being away as well because our crowd will get on our back if we're not performing to a certain standard. So being away will help. Our away fans are absolutely brilliant. If you can shut them up straight away, like I think I've heard a few of you guys say, you've got to come out fast. Don't let us settle. Because if we settle, we'll get in a rhythm and we'll, midfield's our strongest thing, so we'll just keep the ball all day. But the scoreline, I'm going to stick to what I've stuck to on our own show, and I'm going to say 1-0 Reds. And I think it'll be a set-piece goal. That's how confident I am in set pieces, even though I know you guys are strong too. I think we're stronger.
Okay. So you think that you guys can beat Jacko in the air on a set piece? I mean, it's bold. It's ballsy, you know. I am going to go. This is really, really difficult because last week we conceded 2. And Skubala won't want that again. And we conceded 2 in midweek. Skubala won't want that again. So I think we're going to try and shut up shop. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 Lincoln win. That we'll get one early. You'll then be forced to come at us more in the second half, and we'll get one late on. That's how I see the game going. I mean, I could have said 5-1. So
yeah, don't remind me of that, please. No, back then we just lost Pines, and we were at the worst ebb in our form. And I mean, we lost. We won 2 in his last 14 games. That's how bad it was. That's why Collins got the hook right before playoffs, which made no sense to me. But hey, you know, I don't own the club. But I can definitely see yours coming through. But I can definitely see mine coming through too. Either way, it's going to be tasty. And I'm just excited because I think Lincoln are a fantastic club. I think you've got a great fan base. You know, I talk to a lot of Lincoln fans, like Sir Jake Tong and stuff. So listening to their podcast as well, and you guys obviously. But yeah, I'll just be. I just hope we can win because we really need to. You are the bogey team of this league for us because we cannot seem to beat you no matter what we do.
Well, let's hope that stays the case for tomorrow then. Thank you so much for joining me, Craig. Make sure to go and check out Red All Over and all of the pre-match stuff, but then also all of the post-match stuff that they do as well after the game tomorrow. See what their reaction is to, hopefully, the Lincoln victory. But we will find out more or less this time tomorrow from the time that you'll be watching this video. So thank you so much for joining me, Craig. Thank you all so much for watching. Up the Imps.